Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Happy Sunday. You know how some days, like it's a Thursday, and you're like, it doesn't feel like a Thursday, it feels like a Monday. And then other days, it's like a Monday, and you're like, it feels like a Friday, it doesn't feel like a Monday. Today feels like a Sunday. I don't know how to explain it, it just, today feels like a Sunday. And I am exhausted today. And I went to bed earlier than I usually go to bed. I went to bed, I think it was like right before 4 o'clock, which if you watch my vlogs regularly, you know that's pretty early for me. I mean, not early, but it's earlier than I usually, especially on a weekend, it's early. And so, but I was really, really tired, and I had finished this true crime documentary that I was watching, and then I finished watching the first episode, and I started watching the second episode of Dark, season 2. And I was getting so tired. I was drinking sleepy time tea. And so I was like, okay, you're tired, go to bed. And I took my medicine. And this was, I think, my third night in a row taking my medicine, and the third day that I woke up being really, really tired. So tonight I'm not going to take my medicine. I really want to see if it is related to the medicine. I have to believe that it is, because today I woke up and Alex was like rubbing my shoulder. He was like, babe, do you want to go to brunch? And I was like, yeah. I mean, I woke up and I was like, where am I, kind of thing. And but it took me like so long to fall asleep last night. And those are the two consistent things that I find, is that the medicine doesn't, it like almost makes it worse falling asleep. And then I sleep so deep. I think it's supposed to keep me asleep deeper. I don't know. But I will say this, like, I feel more rested when I don't take the medicine. It's kind of what I figured out over the last week, is when I don't take the medicine, I still struggle falling asleep. Taking the medicine or not taking the medicine, which the reason for taking the medicine is supposedly to help me fall asleep, but it doesn't do that. In fact, I think it almost makes it worse. So that doesn't help it. I stay asleep for both of them. I get up a couple times, to go to the bathroom or whatever, but it doesn't seem like any less like that I have a harder time falling back asleep, like when I come right back to bed. Like, I don't feel like the medicine does that. At first, well, for a long time, I kind of felt like I was getting like deeper, really good sleep with the medicine. But a couple of days this week, not taking the medicine, I feel like I got just as deep a sleep. And when I woke up, I felt awake, I felt alert, and I felt rested. I do not feel that way today. I mean, today I'm really, really dragging. And so, and he had initially told me to take, like, I took my dose and I cut it in half from what he originally told me to take. And, so, I'm so confused. But anyway, so I'm really tired today. So I think, like, the next couple days, I'm going to try not taking the medicine. One of the reasons why I am, trying to figure out this medication situation is because I think it's in 2 weeks I have my appointment with my general practitioner where we're going to talk about this medicine. And then that's also in coordination with the dietitian and the nutritionist. That whole meeting is all like in 2 weeks. So I want to like have the sleep stuff figured out, because I want to talk to him about the sleep stuff when I go in there. I mean, I know what he'll say is like, if you don't want to take the medicine, don't take the medicine. So I got to figure out if I want to continue with it or not. But anyway, yeah, like, I'm really, really dragging today. And so when we were at brunch, I said something to Alex. He goes, well, are you going to film videos when you get home? I said, I'm just doing my vlog today, and then I'm going to relax the rest of the day. I'm going to walk. If I start waking up, I hope I am, because my goal is to walk every day for an hour at least. And I've done that so far. I think the first day I walked a little bit shorter than an hour. I can't remember. But anyway, I have it written down inside. But every day I've walked about an hour. Last night my goal was like, in my head, was like an hour and 20, hour and 30 minutes, and I made it about an hour and 10 minutes. So, but I have been walking over an hour. It's like, outside, it looks like fall. I mean, there are leaves all over the trees, or all over the ground from the trees, and it's very gray today, but it looks like fall. But Alex's car said it was 78 when we were coming back from brunch, so I don't know. But anyway, so he was like, I said, or he said, what are you going to do when we get back? Are you going to like make videos and stuff? I said, well, I'm just going to film my vlog. I was like, why did you have something that you wanted to do? And he was like, no, my mom asked me to come over because she bought some kind of furniture that you have to put together, like from IKEA or something like that. And which is so funny, because neither Alex or I are technological whatsoever. I listen, the table out here for my summer table, well, it can be any season table. But my table out here that I still have not put it together. And I bought it like in May or something, right? I hate putting stuff together. And so it's so funny because he was like, well, she doesn't really have anybody else to help her. And so she asked, you know, if I could come over there and help her with the table. And I said, oh, okay. And he goes, I'm not going to be over there for very long, but do you want to come over? And I said, do I want to come over and watch you put a table together for your mom? I said, no. I think I'll vlog. And he goes, well, I'm not only going to be over there for like an hour and a half. And I said, okay. She was in Wisconsin for the last week. She has a friend of hers that has a lake house in Wisconsin. So she's been up there for the last week on the lake. She had a great time. She just got back, I think, late last night. So he's like, she wants to rest and stuff today, so I'm just going to go over there for like an hour and a half. And I said, okay, when you're over there helping your mom set up this table, I said, I am going to film my vlog. And then when you come back, we can like take a nap together or something. He'll be over there longer than an hour and a half. They'll get talking and stuff like that. But, so yeah, but it's been a good day. So then after we went to brunch, Alex took me around. Well, let's do a time and temperature check really quick because we got back earlier than I thought. We went to brunch earlier than we usually do. We went to brunch like an hour earlier, but we got back earlier too. So it's currently 4:16 p.m. And the temperature, well, it said 78 outside of our neighborhood, and then it said 75 when we came into our neighborhood. So I was like, this is interesting that it just dropped 3 degrees. And it says it's 77 and partly cloudy. And when we pulled in, I saw that my neighbor, I think it was her friend's car that was in her driveway earlier when we left for brunch. And then I was like, oh, I wonder if they're at the pool. But it's not like a good pool day at all. And then when we came back from brunch, which was literally like 10, 15 minutes ago, her floaty things were sitting out like up against her entryway into her house. So her friend must have come over and they must have gone to the pool. I don't feel like it's like a nice pool day at all. My neighbor and I keep on complaining to each other about how we want to have these night swims, and but it's not warm enough at night. Like the past 2 nights, it's been really chilly at night. Like even just like taking Boo Radley out, like last night, I mean I took him out like every hour in the hour. I could tell it was progressively getting colder and colder throughout the evening. So I think it got like into the 50s again last night. But anyway, so today after brunch, we went to brunch. Alex he was really, really hungry, he said, and then took half of his food home, which is what he always does. But he got a cup of coffee. The coffee today was chocolate raspberry. He does not get the flavor coffees, but that's what I got. I got the chocolate raspberry. I almost bought the chocolate, it's like they have 2 new desserts. The key lime pie, which is the one that I reviewed on my review channel last week. And they have like this chocolate torte kind of thing. And I was asking our friend that was our server, I was like, I did this review, like, do you think I should get the chocolate thing? And she was like, I'm not a chocolate fan. I go, well, I like chocolate bars and whatever, but I said I don't like brownies. And she goes, it's like a brownie. And I said, okay, then I'm not going to review that for $8. I'm not going to review an $8 brownie. Interestingly enough, though, I was telling her this, that when I did the review, the key lime pie is like this big. And it was delicious. And I said to her, one of the things I said in my review was that I thought $8 was really expensive for a piece of key lime pie. I said, but then I got a couple comments on my video, and people were like, but if you went to like, they didn't say Cheesecake Factory, but they said like a piece of cheesecake's like $14 or $15 and it's the same size. And I was like, you know what, you're absolutely right. Like, that's true. So I don't know, maybe $8 really isn't that expensive for a piece of key lime pie. I mean, it was like its own pie. It was like, it wasn't just a piece, it was like its own little pie. But, and it was delicious. It was so good. I was telling her that. So Alex, he got the regular coffee. I got the chocolate raspberry. And then, it just like felt very fallish ever since I've woken up today. I think it's because it's kind of windy outside. Leaves are blowing down the street. It was cool last night. Somebody asked for a pool vlog in the comment section. I'm going to read some comments here and address some comments in a little bit. But somebody asked for a pool vlog. I'm like, how about a pool day? Okay, the pool vlog, I understand people want a pool vlog, but how about a pool day where I can just go to the pool? I'm thinking about just like after this, like putting on my suit and just forcing myself to get in it for a little bit, just because I haven't been in a couple days. It's kind of sad, honestly. I'm like, it's August, you know, and like I'm not even going to the pool because it's not warm enough. I think it's supposed to warm up a little bit this week, my neighbor was telling me. She said by the end of the week. Tomorrow would be a good pool day if it was nice, because other than filming videos, I have nothing to do. Tuesday, I have a hair appointment, and my hair appointment's early, so I'll come back and I'll film videos. If Tuesday night we also have marriage counseling because last week he had to cancel the appointment for a family situation, so we moved it to this week. So I've got do I have couples? No, I have individual counseling because we're doing the trauma narrative, so now we're like doing every week instead of every other week for a while until we get through the trauma narrative with bullying. So I have that appointment on Tuesday, which is earlier, and then we have the marriage counseling that evening. And then Wednesday, I have a hair, I thought the hair appointment was on Tuesday. Wednesday, I have a hair appointment. It's early, so I'll come back and I'll film videos. And then Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, I don't have anything. So hopefully, Nikki is texting me about her night last night. So let's see what okay, tomorrow it's supposed to be 80. Partly cloudy skies in the morning. Will give way to cloudy skies during the afternoon. Tuesday, 83, partly cloudy. Wednesday, oh, looks like a good day. 84, except for a few afternoon clouds, mainly sunny. 80, okay, so Wednesday might be my pool day that I have to arrange around. So I've got a hair appointment. I could come back after that and get up to the pool. And then maybe I'll just like film just a couple videos on Wednesday, like maybe just my vlog. And then Thursday is 79 and overcast with rain showers. It's not going to be a good pool day. Friday is 83, rain showers in the morning with scattered thunderstorms. I mean, this weather is crap for August. What did Nikki say? So she's on the couch reading her book. So after we had brunch today, oh, so that was what Alex had. So he got the regular coffee. I got the chocolate raspberry coffee. It's okay. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it's okay. And then Alex got a cup of tomato artichoke soup, and then he got the Cuban, but then he was like really craving buttery toast, so he got buttery toast too. And then I got the Fat Rabbit with chips, and I ate half of it and none of the chips. And she brought me out, our friend brought me out this, it was like this vegan ranch, and she's like, this is really good to like dip your sandwich in and your chips. And I like tried it, and I was like, this is gross. I said, listen, I'm the condiment queen, and this is gross. She's like, you don't like it? I was like, no, it's gross. And then she's like, Alex, you try it. I go, he won't try anything. And then, of course, he tries it. Because somebody else asked him to, you know? So he tried it, and he was like, I actually think it's pretty good. You don't like it? I go, no, I think it's gross. I'm the condiment queen. I'm the condiment queen, and what I say goes. And he was like, no, it's good. She was just laughing and stuff. But anyway, so I ate half my half rabbit. It was delicious. And then it's the sandwich that I get. I think I've talked about it over here. It's like cucumbers, pesto sauce. It's like a vegan sandwich. So I brought half of it home. I ate almost like none of the chips. I brought all the chips home too, so I'll have that as like a dinner tonight. And then he brought his Cuban home. He ate all of his toast, but he brought like the majority of his Cuban home. I think he might have ate like a third or a half of it. I don't know. He had a lot of it left, so we brought that home. Then after that, he like took me to run errands. I went to the grocery store and got a couple things. And some other errands that I had to run. So we got all that done. We got all that done like in an hour. He was like, you are so quick. I was like, this is like Cousin Fun Day. I'm like in, out, in, out. I know what I need to do, and I'm like in and out, in and out. But it was kind of nice just like driving around. We were listening to music and talking and stuff like that. So that was kind of fun. And then when he came back, he has this thing that he bought during the lockdown. This is so funny. So Alex bought this thing during the lockdown. That's like this entire closet redo thing. And I don't know why he's taking it over there because, so anyway, it's like, it's this whole organization thing for a closet, which I told him that because he wants the bathroom closet redone and he wants the walk-in closet redone, right? Now, the bathroom closet is like a walk-in closet, but it's like, you can't walk in that far, right? But it's a big closet. Well, when we have the bathroom redo done, the shower that we have in the bathroom right now, we're having that like all taken out, and we're going to have it like extended like twice the size, and it's going to be like one of those stone like step-in showers, you know what I'm talking about? Well, we're probably going to take out half the closet when we do that. And so, because we don't really need that big of a closet anyway in there, we just like store stuff and put like, you know, the hamper for the dirty towels and stuff like that, and linens. We have like suits hanging in there and stuff like that, but we could hang the suits in the other room. So we had talked about like having a professional closet person come out and do like the closet in the bedroom, and I said we could just have that done the same here, but like let's have a smaller closet because we're going to extend the shower when we redo the bathroom. So he bought this organizer during the lockdown. It's literally been sitting up against the wall in the bathroom. I mean, when I film videos in the bathroom, which now is very rare, but when I do, I move this entire, it's like this 5.5 foot box. It's like this narrow. I move it, like, because you can't see it in the film, because it's been leaning up against the wall next to the toilet since the lockdown. So funny. Every once in a while I'm like, when are you gonna do that closet redo? And he's like, it doesn't fit in the closet. I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't fit in the closet? And he's like, it doesn't fit. Like, it's too, like, because our closet is like over the attic, and so when you walk in, it has like this, what do you call it? This, like, the roof of it goes kind of like that. So anyway, so I just tease him about it. I could care less if he redid the closet or not, but he took it over to his mom, because he's like, she can use it. And I'm like, okay. So he took it over to his mom's house. He carried that out. I'm like, finally, we're getting rid of stuff in the house. But anyway, so yeah, got my errands run. Got my coffee for the week. Got everything for the week. Got groceries. Completely set. We were like coming back, and he was like, who's singing? He was like, are you sure you don't need to stop anywhere? And I was like, or anywhere else? And I was like, nope, I got everything done. He was like, are you sure? He was like, that was really quick. I was like, yep, I'm quick. So we came back, and then I took Boo Radley out. Alex loaded up that thing, and then he left for his mom's, and I started vlogging. And here we are, and that's been my day so far today. And so I was like, I want to do the vlog and then start getting it rendered and uploaded, and then I'm going to go on and I'm going to read a little bit out here on the front porch. I may go up to the pool. I should text her. I can't tell if that's her or if that's them. I think it's her next door. It's her next door. I can hear her in the kitchen. Text her, are you home? I'm thinking about going up to the pool maybe in a little bit, just for a quick dip. I also could be convinced otherwise. So last night, I got done with my vlog. Alex was just getting up from his nap. He got ready and he went out to dinner. It was so funny because I was asking him today, I was like, so he went out to dinner with 3 of his friends, and I was like, well, where was so-and-so's boyfriend? He was like, he was at home, like, watching TV like you were. And I was like, oh, where was so-and-so's boyfriend? He was at home watching TV like you were. I said, so all the boyfriends were at home and all the husbands were at home watching TV while you guys were out having dinner. So they went to some Thai place, this new place that they've been there. He said he'd been there once before. But he wasn't really that hungry because he had warmed up all this food yesterday. So he got fried rice, but then he brought it home. And then they went to his one girlfriend's house to take her boyfriend food. And then they went out to his other girlfriend's house that she and her boyfriend just bought a house together. And then they stayed out there and they played games, and he introduced them to Love Island, which means that they watched like a couple episodes of Love Island. And then they were playing that game, which we always play. He plays with that group of girlfriends. He always plays it, where that Caroline and all her stepson and her son and everybody, we play on Christmas and stuff like that. That You Don't Know Jack or whatever, it's on the TV. I love that stuff. I think it's so fun, where everybody plays at the same time and you answer the stuff on your cell phone. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Oh my god, I love that. I think it's so fun. So anyway, they were playing that last. He said the drawing game. I go, what's the drawing game? He's like, you know where you draw on the TV. I go, I have no idea what you're doing. We never play the drawing one when we do it together. He goes, the drawing one, the drawing game. I go, what's the drawing game? So he like showed me this picture. I think he posted on Instagram, and I was like, we've never played that game before. He's like, yeah, the one in the basement at Caroline's house. I go, oh, the trivia game. He was like, yeah, but sometimes we draw. I go, well, I must have sat out for that game. So anyway, we had a good brunch, so it was fun. And then, so last night he was like texting me and like sending me funny pictures. Last night, I feel like I talked on the phone for like 3 hours to different people. And then, I walked last night. I came back, I took a shower, I put on clean pajamas. I feel like I've been doing laundry for like 4 days straight. So I stood in the basement last night and I just like folded all this laundry. I had like pool towels, I had sheets, I had all this stuff, and I just stood in the basement and just like folded it last night. that was after I took my shower and put my pajamas on. And then she's opening her garage door. She's either leaving or she might walk over here. Sometimes she just walks over here. So I got all the laundry folded last night. We still have like, we started it, she's leaving and going somewhere. I started it after Christmas, but like we have all like our Christmas and holiday and winter like bedding. Like some of it we did and some of it's like still down there, so I've got to do that and put that away. Now it's coming up on wintertime again, I can't believe it. So anyway, not like sheets, but like the big bulky like blankets and stuff like that. She'll stop if she drives by here. She'll probably go out the other way. It's so funny because like all I can see is right here. So I've gotten so like tuned in to like I like hear people's cars and which way they're going. Like I can even like sometimes when people are walking down the street, like I can hear, like I can tell who it is by like how they walk on the street. She went the other way. She's leaving me. Anyway, I was like, why do I feel like she has softball on Sundays? But they lost their last game, so they don't go into the championship. She's real devastated about it. But anyway, so yeah, so I walked last night, then I took a shower, put on my clean pajamas, sweat shorts and t-shirt, and then I folded all the laundry, and then I made some coffee, and I sat out here, and I talked on the phone for like 2.5, 3 hours. And then I went inside, and I started episode 2 of At Wit's End on Hulu, which is the Melissa Witz case. A lot of people commented on it, and a lot of people said what the documentary was. The other one, the Morgan Brick one, I think it's called Still Missing Morgan is what it's called, but a lot of people commented on it. So while I'm talking about it, let me make sure that a lot of people said what it was called. I want to make sure that I get it correct. Still Missing Morgan. Still Missing Morgan is the documentary you're talking about. This is from Cleo. Be sure to watch that. It's so well done. Okay, so I finished At Wit's End last night, and I almost turned around and started Still Missing Morgan. Here's the thing. Like when you go into Unsolved Mysteries, I saw this thing the other day that somebody sent me. I think somebody actually tagged me in this one or sent it to me in my DMs on Instagram. It was like this woman, and she was like, had this confused look on her face, and she was like watching the TV, and it was like Unsolved Mysteries, and it said something about like watching a show called Unsolved Mysteries, and when they say this case is still not solved, and it was like this confused look on her face, right? Like you go into Unsolved, but I think the same thing, right? Like you watch Unsolved Mysteries, but you kind of think it's going to be solved, you know? I actually thought of that before somebody sent it to me. I was like thinking that while I was watching. I was like, I don't like this because none of these cases are solved. But sometimes I like that the cases aren't solved, but sometimes, I don't know. The At Wit's End case, the Melissa Witz case, it was interesting to me. I think the story is tragic. I think the story is sad. It brings in kind of like, so there's multiple suspects. This is what's interesting about it. And I'm going to do a whole review of it, a reaction over my Peter Watches TV channel as just a TV show, not about the case. Because I think the case is tragic and sad. I think the one thing they do about it is that they do so well is that the whole thing is framed by this newscaster that lived in this small town that she reported on the story from like the moment that she went missing till all this through. She's fantastic in it. So when you watch the first episode, what's interesting about it is that they frame it with her kind of telling the story. And then they go in and they interview, it's like 3 different police counties and state investigators and the FBI that are all working together on this closed case, right? And so they share all that in the first episode. And then the second episode is them kind of like looking at certain suspects. It's where this Charlie Vines guy comes in, Charlie Ray Vines, which is, I guess he's the one that's implicated. He's dead now. He's the one that's implicated in the Morgan Brick case. So they bring him up in the second case, or second thing. But then it's like, he fits the profile, and like, but does he really? And then there's no DNA on anything. They can't find any DNA on anything. And then, oh no, it's not him, it's this person. It's this Travis Crouch person, or is it? And he completely fits the profile. And then it's 3 episodes of these police investigators just constantly like, I feel like they just walk in circles for 3 episodes, and they just talk about, I mean, but I didn't really figure it out by the 2nd episode, but by the 3rd episode, I was like, they're just saying the same things over and over and over again. It's literally the same evidence. They're just talking about it. I mean, the whole series could have, to be honest with you, I'm kind of surprised it's trending so hard. I mean, it's like number 2 on Hulu for the week. It could have been 2 episodes. There's no reason why it was 4 episodes. I won't say it was like the most boring true crime documentary that I've ever watched, because, I mean, I watched it all the way through and it was okay. I found myself being on my phone a lot while I was watching it. I was like, is that my husband coming back with his top down on his, but it's not. It's like a dark gray Jeep Wrangler. It was a nice looking one. Anyway, the investigators are interesting. What's interesting is they keep on, so it's a cold case, so they keep on referring back to like old notes, but what they'll say is, because they don't want the police to take any criticism for how the investigation was done to begin with, which is interesting because the newscaster, she says there's a lot of things they didn't do that they could have done. But each of the police investigators, the detectives, the FBI, they're each like, they will say something that like was messed up. Like, there's no chain of custody on any of the evidence. Like, they can't find any of the chain of custody. They can't find why they didn't test something for DNA. They'll like just all of a sudden have a suspect and there's like no notes on it. There's like no notes taken. I mean, this is a murder case in a small town. Like, this did not happen. They say that over and over again. Like, this was not something that happened regularly. Except for that 15 minutes away, Morgan Brick went missing. And at the end of the show, they bring up another woman that was killed. And then they brought out another woman that was assaulted, all within a 15-minute area. So it did happen a lot in that area. And so, but it's like everything, they'll be like, well, there's no chain of custody on this evidence. And then they'll flash to the detective, and they're all nice guys, right? And they'll be like, well, we don't really know why there's no chain of custody and there's no notes, and we have no idea why this piece of evidence is even in this box. But that doesn't mean that they didn't do their job. They did a great job. They did a great job after that. It's like they won't just come out and say, no, it was a shit job. It was a shit job, and this is, I mean, if they had done their job effectively back in the day, then this case could have probably been solved. There's a lot of things, and they'll say things like, it just fell through the crack, it just fell through the crack, and all this kind of stuff, or it just fell through the cracks. I'm like, they'll say like a suspect, oh, he just fell through the cracks. I'm like, the suspect didn't fall through the cracks. It's so interesting, like, the things they say, and I don't know, like, how much of it is, like, kind of scripted for like, we're gonna film this scene, and then we're gonna do this. Like, okay, so they go after this Travis Crouch guy, right? And he's in Colorado for, I mean, if you watch enough true crime, you know kind of how this stuff works, right? And so he's in Colorado on charges of rape and assault, and he's like serving 48 to 64 years. But by the time that they get to him, he's like up for parole the next day. I mean, I don't know if it was for television, that they timed it that way in filming it or whatever, but the victim, she comes forward, and so his parole is put off for another year. But his DNA is not put into the database. And so they're like, they have this whole conversation. It's literally like 20 minutes, these two guys being like, why isn't his DNA in the database? I don't know. I don't know why his DNA isn't in the database. Do you think it could be because they never got his DNA? I don't know. Maybe it's because they never got his DNA. What does the note say? The note says that they requested it consensually. Consensually? Oh, that means they gave him an option. I bet you anything that he didn't give the DNA. Why do you think they didn't give him the DNA? I'm like, this guy's literally a convicted felon. Why don't you just subpoena it? That's what they do in every other case. And every literally other true crime I've ever seen, they subpoena the DNA. Like, and he's a convicted felon in prison. So by law, he would have to give that if he was subpoenaed. His DNA, it's basically the same as a search warrant. This is literally in every true crime show that I watch. But then they never talk about ever getting any DNA from him. They talk about it kind of, like they insinuate that they do, but like they make such a big deal about it that if they got it from him and said, oh, we finally got the DNA, it was like put into this CODIS system. But they don't really ever say that. And then the other thing is, like, they have this whole thing about this one woman comes forward and she says that she's friends with his mom and dad, who said that he wasn't in town at the time, but she can place him in town at the time because he was driving his mom's brown car, and he came to the store and she was selling these puppies, and he wanted one of these puppies for the brother. And I'm sitting there watching all this stuff. I mean, this is literally, I'm not lying to you, probably 45 minutes about this woman of 2 episodes. And they're like, well, maybe she got her story wrong, or maybe she got her timing wrong, or maybe it's a different person, or maybe she doesn't remember him. Yeah, but the store owner said, but she's covering for him a little bit because she still likes the parents, so she come out. I'm like, they literally go back and forth on whether or not her story is real or not. And I'm like, why don't you just ask the brother if he ever got a puppy from his brother? Because he says, I wanted to buy this puppy for my brother. She remembers that in the conversation. Why don't you just ask the brother? If the brother's not around anymore, why don't you just ask family members? Did he ever give his brother a dog? I mean, it's stuff like that I'm... The camera stopped. And I'm like, is this for television or... And then, the thing that really pissed me off is, I don't mind a non-conclusive true crime story, because I think it's important to get the stories out there. So if there are people out there that know facts, they can come forward and they can share those, right? They don't even say that. The detectives don't even say that. The newscaster says that. She's the one. She's like, we need to get this story out here because Melissa Witt's parents are both gone. Her part is like what makes the whole show, because she's so emotional, talking about what the mother had to endure and stuff like that. But at the very end of this 4-part series, okay, that literally just came out, at literally the very end, I mean, it's like all these police detectives, it's like they show her last part, then they show these detectives. I mean, I almost turned it off because I thought it's over. And they're like, yeah, like our job is really hard and people don't realize what we take home with us and all this kind of stuff. And I thought the credits are about to roll. I mean, I literally like hit the iPad and it had like 4 minutes left. And I was like, the credits are about to roll. At the very last moment, they're like, well, this one guy goes, we'll never stop looking for the killer of Melissa Witt, you know, who was responsible for it. And then they all of a sudden, they flash this woman and she's like, yeah, this guy grabbed my arm in this mall or this restaurant or whatever. And then they bring out this, they show this guy's case and then they show him on the screen. And I'm like, they don't say anything about it. And they're like, he could be up there. I'm like, is there gonna be a part 2 to this? Like, are you just ending it like this on this dramatic note for a part 2? Like, I don't love when true crime does stuff for like just drama. Like, I don't love that. And so I was like, this is really interesting. And so that was the reason why I didn't watch Still Missing Morgan, Still Missing Morgan, or Morgan Still Missing, or whatever it's called. That's why I didn't watch it, because there's a lot of the same people are in both shows. And I was like, this is going to be the same kind of thing. And I don't want to watch 3 episodes of people just walking in circles out in the woods speculating about a Mountain Dew can. I just don't, you know? Like, it's interesting when you're watching it. And I think this is why a lot of citizen detectives today are actually, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with police departments and detectives and all that kind of stuff. I think they do the best job they can do. And so maybe a lot of this was for television and their hands were tied on some of it. Like, there was a part where they, like, interviewed, the whole episode was called Someone She May Have Known, ? And they go in there and they interview all of her close friends and family, but they don't show any of it. It says, this part of the investigation is closed. I'm like, you literally called this 3rd episode. I mean, it was a lot of drama, I felt. And I thought, this isn't just true crime. We're talking about a human being that was murdered, you know? And her parents never got justice in it. I don't know, to be honest with you, I wasn't that impressed. I mean, it was the kind of true crime story that I like, because it took place out in the, you know, middle of nowhere, Minnesota, I think, or wherever, and, you know, it was like back in the day. I mean, she was 19 when I got sober, and I was 22 and a half, so she was 2-3 years younger than me, so she was really my same age, when she passed away. I don't know, it just was so sad watching it. And I thought, like, all the detectives that were picking up this cold case, I mean, the thing is, the case is 29 years old, right? And they said that. And so they're, like, literally going out to, like, this Charlie Vine's, like, his house, and they're, like, digging up the ground now, which, I'm like, they spent a whole time doing that. I'm like, why even include it in here if you... I don't know. It just seemed like they came up, they were like, we're going to make this documentary, and we're going to film it while we're doing this investigation, then we'll have some conclusive ending, but they didn't. And so they just had to kind of end it. It reminded me of this true crime book that we read about the Delphi case, which I think is so tragic and sad, and I think that I think it's a huge cover-up. I think the Delphi case is a huge cover-up. I don't say a lot about it on film, because I've heard that other people that do have gotten threatened, so I don't say a lot about it on film, but I mean, everybody in Indiana, if you ask anybody off the street, what do you think about Delphi? They'd say it's a complete cover-up. The police are involved. It's a cover-up. That's what they would say. I mean, everybody says that in Indiana. I'm literally an hour and a half from my front door to where those girls were murdered. Everybody in Indiana, if you ask anybody about Delphi, will tell you it was a cover-up. They're not releasing the information. They're still not releasing stuff from the phone. They supposedly have the person that they caught and all this kind of stuff, but they're not. I mean, there's no follow-up. There's been nothing said, really, since they caught him. I mean, the whole thing is so bizarre, you know? And, we read this book in a true crime book club because it was like the latest book to come out about it. The Down the Hill documentary, which was based on the podcast, was done pretty well. But we read this book, and I can remember Mel and I talking about it at first, because I was like, I think we should read this. This is like, now there's like 3 new ones out that are like done much better. It was so poorly done, this book, and it was like 3/4 of it, like Mel still brings it up as a joke, because like 3/4 of it was all about this guy wanting to become a podcaster. Like, I mean, literally 3/4 of it had nothing to do with the Delphi case, and was literally just about him becoming a podcaster. And then the last fourth was about, you could tell he had written it before the guy was caught. And what do you call it? The synopsis of the book said like the most current up-to-date book on the Delphi murders, which is why we picked it. And the last fourth of it was about the case. Or maybe the last half of it was about the case. Probably just the first half. I mean, there was a lot about him being a podcaster in there, and how he got started, and why he wanted to be a podcaster and starting in his garage. I mean, it was like, had nothing to do with Delphi, and this, whatever case he got interested in first, and all this kind of stuff. I mean, every time we pick a book, Mel to this day, it's so funny, and she's like, is it going to be about somebody? Because I have to be honest with you, when I read Mandy Matney's book, that was one of my fears, was that it was going to be so personalized, that it wasn't going to have a lot to do with the murder cases. Mandy Matney was very much like Michelle McNamara in I'll Be Gone with the Dark, in that she did a fantastic job of weaving her personal life and how she was personally affected by the case that she was working on. It was wonderfully done and very, very interesting. I don't even remember what the book was that we read. I mean, I could look it up on my Goodreads right now and find it. But then what he does is, he says in the book, like, all these suspects. Like, he names, like, 20 suspects. And he's like, could it be this person? Could it be that person? Could it be this person? Could it be that person? I mean, literally says it in the book. Like, as if it's, like, currently you're having that conversation. Like, could it be this person? No editing is done whatsoever. And then at the very end, it's like the very tail end. It's like he just added it to put it in the book. And he's like, well, they caught this person, so none of these people did it, and it's him. And I'm like, you literally just jumped to get this book out because you thought because the case was currently going on, you were going to get rich and famous off this. And why I take issue with that is that I think that has nothing to do with the victims and getting the accurate, true story out there. And there's a lot of people, I think, today that are more interested in just that than they are, I don't know. Like, I watch true crime very, very carefully for how they respect the victim, how they respect the story, and things like that. The Melissa Witt case is interesting that I watch at Wit's End. The police, the ones that are currently working on it, I don't know anything about the guy that they talk about him a lot, the one that first covered the case. But the guys that work on it now, like, they seem to really, really care about the case. Like, you can tell they really are invested in the case and they really, really care. But what they won't say is they screwed it up before, and there's not like a lot of information for us. They haven't even, because this one guy, the FBI agent, keeps on saying like, well, there should be a note somewhere that says this, and they're like, yeah, but there isn't. Well, that would be a time to say, one of the reasons why we're struggling with this case is because it wasn't done effectively the first time. Like, this person, like, they made it seem like all of a sudden he would just, like, go in a lead, and he would think, oh, it's this person, and then they would, like, because in 1998, apparently in 2000 is when, like, DNA sampling, like, improved scientifically. But in 1998 was when he originally requested the Travis Crouch DNA. And so the FBI agent's like, but why, what does he have to compare it to? Because no DNA testing had been done on the evidence then. So what was he comparing it to? Like, why did he want the DNA testing? But there's no notes done. But I'm sure that they did the best job that they could possibly do. They always say that because they don't ever want to step on the toes of the past investigator. I don't know if this guy was like really was respected or really liked or whatever. But it was botched. I mean, if you're looking at a police investigation, I mean, the charting, the history of it should read exactly how the investigation went, you know? And if it doesn't, then I think that that's problematic for future people that pick up the case, you know? So anyway, I don't know what I thought about it. I think it's sad. I think it's sad how it ended. I was going to actually look last night to see Melissa Watt. I wanted to see or Melissa Witt. Oh, it pulls up killer. 2 days ago, Melissa Witt. Okay, this is... See, on here it says Charles Ray Vines. But he's dead. So do they know that? No. The Hunt. Who killed Melissa Witt? 30 years later, the hunt continues. Oh, I was going to look and see what that book was called. Let me look at my reading challenge from last year. Mother-Daughter Murder Night. I love that book so much. That's actually a book I think a lot about. And I already have the September, I'll be doing that video this week. I haven't filmed a booktube video yet this month, so I gotta get on it this week. But, I already picked out the books for September for Peter's book club. And Mel and I picked out the book. Oh, here it is. The Delphi Murders. The Quest to Find the New Man, the Quest to Find the Man on the Bridge. Nick Edwards. I gave it 2 stars. A detailed account of the investigation from the day the girls' bodies were found to the events leading up to Alan's arrest. It's not true. It's like the very... I want to see what like the 1-star comment is on this. They quote him, and this person says, I began reading the article, but there was nothing. That pretty much sums up how I feel about this book. I read a lot of true crime, but I didn't enjoy how this book was written. The author spent so much time talking about himself and other cases that I didn't feel like I learned anything about Abby and Libby. At some points, it felt like rambling. That can work for a podcast, but it's hard to read. It's interesting. It was really hard to get into this book. I tried, and I couldn't finish it. This book is more or less filled with advertisements for his podcast. Besides, there is not much to read about the actual Delphi case. The book is filled with references to other cases. Disappointing. It was horrible. And I think it did a real disservice to the case itself and to the girls. I think it's sad, you know? What did we just read recently that I felt like I felt a little bit about the Lori Vallow case that way. Was that the one that Mel and I were talking about? Yeah, because the John Douglas books are done so well. When the Murder Turns to Blood, about Lori and Chad Daybell. I felt a little bit like that, too. Like, the author spent so much time going into their growing up and his history in the Mormon church, and then how it turned into this kind of, like, spiritual belief system of negative, like, it's interesting, okay? If you follow my drama channel, I'll just say that. If you read that book, one of the reasons why they felt like they needed to get rid of, or he felt like they needed to get rid of her kids, these 2 kids, because that he could see like their souls, and their souls are either positive or negative, and they were negative. And so you got to remove all negativity, which was their reasoning for killing those kids. And this goes all the way back to him being part of the LDS church, and like, and he was a little bit more FLDS. Like, it goes, like, and explains that, how, like, that's how it started. It goes and talks about, like, the triangle of the LDS church, and so at some point his family changed. It talks a lot about, like, near-death experiences within the LDS church, and, like, that was kind of, like, a whole sect that, like, went off to itself, and he was, like, at the head of all of that, and it's so interesting when you read that book. But there was so much, the research for that, and the history of Chad Daybell, and the history, I mean, I learned so much about the LDS church from reading that book. There really wasn't that much about Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. I mean, the research was fantastic, but it was nothing that I didn't already know about Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell from watching the documentary. And then it just kind of like ends. It doesn't really say what happened with the prosecutions, the court cases, nothing. It just ends. And I think that the author, again, I think this is like the time we live in now, tried to get it out at a time like, we need to get this out as soon as possible, because this case is currently going on and being, you know, appealed and things like that, and so people are talking about it. So instead of, like, actually being respectful to the case, like, let's just get it out, right? Which is interesting to me when I look at, like, books that we've read. Like, the Michelle McNamara book, I'll Be Gone in the Dark, I mean, she passed away before the book was finished. I don't think that book would have come out when it did had she stayed alive. Like, I think she would have kept on writing the book, and I think she would have kept on, or there might have been a part 2 to the book, or a sequel, and she would have kept on investigating it with Paul Holes. I think that she would, you know, until he had been caught, and I think she would have done another book after that. And that book was so fantastically done. When I think about, like, really great books that we've read in True Crime Book Club that I thought were, like, really humane, paid homage to the victim and their families and did a great job, like Columbine is, like, by Dave Cullen, is one of the most fantastic books. I mean, it is, like, gritty, vulnerable, it is hard to read, but, like, it wasn't put out, like, at a time, I mean, it was well done research, knowledge, paying honor to the victims and telling the stories. It wasn't just done to hype it up. Like, his books, like, I think he did a book on Parkland, too. I mean, his books are so well researched. I mean, so well. That book was probably one of, not just the best true crime books I've ever read, but one of the best books I've ever read. The way that it was, I mean, it was extremely lengthy. And so it's interesting when you read, like, I felt like in reading the Mandy Matney book, which I'm so surprised it doesn't get more attention about the Murdaugh case, because she covered it so extensively. It's called Blood on Their Hands, I think. It was so fantastically done. It's hands down, like, in the 4 years or 5 years we've done the True Crime Book Club, it's probably, like, in my top 4 or 5 books that I've ever read. And I'm not even really that greatly interested in the Murdaugh cases because I feel like I've watched so much and seen so much about it. But it was her perception of it. It was her, like, covering the whole Stephen Smith stuff and talking so much more about that and her relationship with his mom. And it really humanized it. And it wasn't like, let's hurry and get this book out for any reason, right? Like, you could tell even reading the end of it that there was a little bit of that, I will say, at the end. Because I asked Mel about, like, why she stopped it when she did. And I guess she's hinted at there being, like, another book coming out, which I didn't understand at the time. But, like, there was so much attention given to parts of the cases that other people really haven't spoken about, and so I thought it was important. It's interesting when I look at, like, books we've read. Like, he puts out so many books, I couldn't read all of them, but, like, the Greg Olson books are really well done. And he picks kind of, like, bizarre, unique cases that aren't cases that you would, like, immediately think of. The one about the family that lived... It's like upstate California or something. No One Will Believe You or something like that. What's that book called? I'll have to look. That book about the woman, she killed her stepson, I think, and then she was like poisoning her kids, and she killed her best friend. What was that book called? One second, let me pull him up. If You Tell, A True Story of Murder, Family Secrets, and an Unbreakable Bond of Sisterhood. I mean, that was so good, and I didn't know anything about that case. I like to watch cases I don't know anything about. So, I have on my list here on Hulu. Let me pull it up and see. Do I have my list? Planet of the Apes. Tanya and her son love those movies. I think that was the last movie she went and saw in the movie theater. That's number 1 right now, actually. Oh, At Wit's End is now number 5. That's interesting. Where is my list? Oh, here are my stuff. Okay. Still Missing Morgan. The Rifkin Murders. If any of you've watched these and you think they're good, let me know. Betrayal. Which is a father's secret, it says. Sins, I don't know anything about these. Sins of the Parent. Missing. Okay. Murder Comes to Town. The Killing County. Oh, The Clearing. Tanya told me to watch that. I should start watching that. Somebody said something about, in my comment section, about watching Cruel Summer. I've watched both seasons of Cruel Summer. I really, really like the first season, not so much the second season. Oh my god, Captive Audience. That's that Steven Stainer story. That story is so sad. Oh, Under the Banner of Heaven. I remember when Caroline and I were watching that together. I've got so many things on here. The Handmaid's Tale. Oh, Little Fires Everywhere. Watch that. At Wit's End. Only Murders in the Building. Did you guys know it's coming back? Alaska Daily. They canceled that. La Brea. It ended. I watched the end of it. Oh, The Last Man. That didn't make it very far, did it? Anyway, I watched like 2 episodes of that show, I think, and then I stopped it. So yeah, so last night I finished that, and then I was going to watch Still Missing Morgan, and I was like, I don't want to watch another true crime back-to-back with these same people. So I finished the first episode of season 1 of Dark, and I think I finished the second episode too. It's good. It's even more confusing now than it was before, which I didn't think was possible. But it starts in the future. It's so confusing. It's so confusing. What does he say to him at this one point? And he says something about, like, because it really, like, screwed with my head. I will say the show is, like, really messing with my head because of some of the things they say. And he said something about, like, how can, somebody says something about, like, it's about time travel, okay? And they're like, how can this possibly be true? And he says something like, maybe this is further in the back first season, something about, like, when people first discovered that the world was, why do I feel like this is something else that I watch? But no, it says, when people first discovered that the world was round, like, can you imagine, like, how they responded to that? Because they thought it was flat, right? Like, and all of a sudden, like, how they, like, that might send them into panic mode, like, just knowing that piece of information. And he said, this is the same thing, but, like, in 100 years, this won't be, like, anything new to anybody. Like, everybody will just accept that time travel is, like, this thing that we do. And I thought, God, that's such a weird way to think of things. Like, if tomorrow, like, somebody came up there and they, like, told you, like, you're not Peter Monn, like, you know, your name is John Smith, and, you know, this is your wife, Judy Smith, and whatever. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, I'm Peter Monn. And they're like, no, who? Peter Monn? Peter Monn lives across the street from you. It's like you wake up in this world, you know, it's like, those kind of, like, story ideas, like, they really freak me out, because, in all honesty, I do think there's a part of it that there's kind of, like, some truth to that. Like, I do think, like, in some weird part of the world, like, not, I mean, like, maybe 3 feet from me right now, you know, but, like, I do think some of that stuff exists. I just don't think we know about it yet, you know? But I'm such a conspiracy theorist, and I love, like, talking about all that kind of stuff and reading all about that stuff. It's like, I remember watching the show Dazed and Confused for the very first time, which I didn't see until after I got sober. And I can remember watching it when they're talking about some weird stuff on a dollar bill. Do you guys remember that? And I'm like, there is some weird stuff on a dollar bill. And I can remember, like, becoming, like, kind of obsessed with that one after I watched that show. But, like, it's stuff like that when you start thinking about it, you know? If you've had any, like, really strange things, like, if, like, you've ever had, like, people in your life, I don't know that I've had really strange things happen to me, other than, like, I mean, I think there's family secrets that everybody keep, right? I think it's weird that when my mom passed away, I found out that my grandma had gone to prison. Is it understandable in the realm of things that my mom and my grandma, their sole reason, my mom and my aunt, their sole reason for never telling that was because they didn't want Caroline and I to think poorly of our grandma? Yeah, and I think they also hadn't accepted it themselves. I think they didn't really want to talk about it. Does it surprise me? Am I interested in it? 100%, because I think it tells me a lot about my family tree and where I came from and stuff like that. Do I think it's like black holes and wormholes existing? No, it's not like that. But I have had friends of mine in my life that, like, I know people, like, I'm just gonna make something up, right? But, like, I know people that, like, they found out, like, one day that, like, their dad had, like, a wife in another state with, like, an entire family that nobody even knew about. Like, I've known, like, I'm making that story up, but, like, I've known people that it's, like, their reality was, like, just so shocked core. I mean, like, one day they just woke up and they're like, what is going on? Like, I guess I have had one story like that, but it didn't have to do with me. It had to do with a friend of mine. And it had to do, and we were really, really close. And it had to do with something that she told me. She'd always, like, told me one thing, and then, like, one day she was like, oh, that's not true. And I was like, I mean, it was, like, really, it was significant to her life. It didn't affect me at all. But it also made me, like, view how I looked at her, and she was like, oh, yeah, there was no truth to that whatsoever. And I was like, this is so bizarre. Like, that, I don't know. Like, it wasn't even so much for me the fact that she had lied about it. It was the fact that I didn't understand why she lied about it. If I told you guys what it was, I don't want to say, because it's too personal. But, like, I think, and I've really, to be honest with you, like, we don't really, I mean, we're still friendly, but I don't know the last time I've talked to her. We've never really talked about it. I, like, asked her one time, I was like, I don't really understand. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, okay, that's a clear sign you don't want to talk about it. I don't know. I mean, this is a friend of mine that I had, like, before and after I got sober. But I can just remember one day, it was, I don't know, it just was bizarre. But that's the only thing. And it didn't affect me directly at all. I just was like, okay. I mean, like, I'm trying to think of an example, but it doesn't really matter. But I have had friends of mine that's, like, literally, they're like, it's interesting how many people that I know that once they get sober and they start working out things with their families, that all of a sudden their families will be like, well, yeah, like, you need to know this about, it's like once they start like fixing their lives, it's like the family thinks they're okay to like know certain stuff, and then they tell them stuff that, I mean, these are friends of mine that are like my age, you know, and it's like they got sober at 30 to 60, right? And like after that, their families will tell them stuff like their mom died 10 years before, and they're like, yeah, but that was never really your mom. Like, your mom was, your biological mom was, I'm making this up, but it's like really like her best friend that lived in Topeka, Kansas that you've never met, and she's married and has like a whole like 3 kids over there, and she doesn't want anything to do with you, but like your mom couldn't get pregnant, and so they were both young, so your mom, it's just like bizarre stuff. Like, my friends will be like, you're never gonna believe what I found out. I'm like, they tell me this stuff, I'm just like, it's like that. Can you imagine if tomorrow you like woke up and like everything that you thought was true in your life was completely false, you know? It's like, it's bizarre. So I don't know. Do I think that there's stuff like wormholes and spirits and shadow people out there? Sure, and I think it makes life more exciting to think that there possibly could be that. You know, have I been like taking Boo Radley outside and off the corner of my eye, I like feel like I see something? Yeah, 100%, you know? Like, I mean, that's happened to me on multiple occasions. Do I think I've seen UFOs in the sky? When I was in high school one time with my friend, we thought we did, but other than that, no, I would love to. Trust me, if I saw a UFO, I'd be the first one to tell you guys about it, and I 100% believe in UFOs and aliens. So people are like, why don't we see them? Because I think they're smarter than us by tenfold, so I think they're not going to do things that are going to get them spotted and seen. There's my pool crew lady. She's getting stuff out of her van. She must have just been at the lake or something. This woman that walks by here, she usually waves. I don't know her. But she reminds me, she has real curly hair. My mom had straight hair, but she's like built just like my mom. She's like real petite. She reminds me of my mom. And, but it's so funny because, like, I don't know her name. I've never met her or anything like that. She only walks by here, like, once or twice a week. Maybe it's, like, on the weekends or something. But when she walks by here, she's probably, like, I would say, like, 60, 65 or something like that. When she walks by, she's always, like, if she sees me, she's kind of, like, this looking at the ground. She's, like, listening to something on her phone. I can tell because she's holding her phone. She's got her AirPods in. But she's, like, looking at the ground. Then all of a sudden, she'll, like, kind of look over at me. And she'll be like, it's so cute. It's so nice. Oh, my God. Boo Radley last night and the Zoomies. Can we just talk about that? By the way, I just want to say, so somebody sent this to me last night. Here, I'll give a little shout out to whoever sent this to me. It was on Amy Sedaris' page. Where is it at? Okay, Aaron sent this to me last night, and I said, oh, I love that. I'm going to post it. And so it was the scene. Amy Sedaris had posted, oh, look at Marvis. Marvis's big teeth. Look, I want to show you something. So Marvis, yesterday, this little paws, and he was learning to stand on his own yesterday. Today we practiced standing and sitting with weight bearing on planted back feet. The toe beans are just too delicious. The toe beans. Anyway, so I posted that on my Instagram story. And then it was this scene from To Kill a Mockingbird, okay? Where Scout, at the very end, says she sees Arthur Radley standing in the corner. And she goes, well, there he is. You can ask him yourself. And the door goes, and he goes up against the wall. And then she goes, hey, Boo. And so, here it is right here. She just said it. But then I put, hey, Boo. Because people always ask me, like, why did you name him Boo Ridley? And I'm like, well, his name's not Boo Ridley. His name's Boo Radley. And he comes from the novel and the movie To Kill a Mockingbird. So, I posted that picture of little Boo Radley. Little Boo Radley. Somebody sent me a DM. Oh, see, people send me DMs of their dogs all the time. My little dog wants to thank Mr. Boo Radley for influencing her to get this calming donut, which she loves. Aw. Okay. Aw. That's so sweet. So yeah, so tonight, well, Big Brother's on tonight. I'm going to ask Alex if he wants to watch it in real time, since he's been watching it anyway. I didn't realize that. My neighbor keeps on carrying, like, one, it's not my neighbor in the corner, it's the neighbor next door that's part of the pool crew. She, like, kicks one bag. She's not, like, first of all, well, she told me the other day she was older than I thought she was, but if you saw her, you'd think she was, like, 62 or 63. And she's literally carrying, like, one thing from the car at a time. It's cracking me up. when we were at the pool, I was like, what lakes have you been going to? She's like, oh, all different lakes. Oh, there's her husband. I was like, what do you mean all different lakes? And she's like, well, my brother has a lake house here, and then everybody in Indiana, if your family had like a lot of money, or if you like have a lot of money, people have lake houses in Indiana, and they're gorgeous lake houses. And like Lake Wawasee. My camera stopped. Am I really at an hour already? Oh my. Lake Wawasee is probably the nicest one in Indianapolis. I used to say to my dad when I was growing up, my dad lives on a lake, and he has a pool, and he had a boat, and I would say, Dad, why can't you just have a lake house like half of our friends? And he'd say, because you live on the lake 365 days a year, and you have a pool and you have a boat, so quit complaining about it. And I was like, oh, I guess you're right. But anyway, it didn't feel the same. It didn't feel the same as like packing up and people would go to like their lake house. I'd have friends of mine that, well, it was really not so much friends of mine. It was really more friends of my aunt and uncles. They had a lot of friends. Caroline spent a lot of time going to lake houses when she was growing up as a kid. We talk about that. And so they would like pack up for the whole summer and they would go. I was always so jealous of it. I don't feel like anybody on our street when I was growing up had a lake house they went to. But usually it's like, so she was telling me that I think her brother's lake house was like her parents' lake house, or which was also her grandparents' lake house. Like a lot of these lake houses in Indiana, I mean, when you see them, they're gorgeous. They're literally like Cape Cod mansions on the lake with like sprawling backyards leading down to the lake. I mean, they're gorgeous. And the lake is really pretty and stuff like that. There's not a lot of like, some of these lakes are not like clear, like you can't see and stuff like that, but they're beautiful lakes nonetheless, lots of trees and stuff like that. But a lot of these lake houses are people that like their grandparents own these lake houses and they've been passed down. And then what happens is it gets down to like my generation, and it's like, how do you keep up the lake house when it's like utilities in the summer cost $20,000? And if you think I'm lying, I'm not. Okay, I'm talking about like, you know, lake coverage, housing, roofing. I mean, it's like they can't afford it between like 3 siblings. So I don't know, maybe I'm glad that I didn't have a lake house. I mean, my dad's still alive, so he'd still be going there if we did have a lake house, but it's such a pretty night outside. It does feel like I'm not, like, last night, I am down to, like, 20 candles. And so I was, like, pulling out these candles because I, like, went through one in the kitchen. I bought some of those Glade candles off of Amazon, and I was like, no, I'm not doing these Glade candles again. These candles suck. They burnt through in, like, they were big, too. They were, like, 3-wick candles. They burnt through in, like, 2 days. They're a waste of money, and I don't think they smell that great. So I went through last night. I have to be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of the Goose Creek candle. I thought I was, but they don't usually put off very good scent. But last night, I was feeling fallish. I made my coffee. It was cool outside. I went to Boo Radley out, and I was getting ready to, you know, watch True Crime. So the 2 candles I had burnt through, so I had to put 2 new candles out. And so I have this Goose Creek candle that's like an apple candle. I don't know what it's called, but it's apple scent. It has apples all around the side of it. So I put it out and I started burning it. And like a half an hour later, our whole house, like Alex came home and he was like, this house smells so good. And like they had only at that point been burning for like a half an hour or something like that. And he was like, this house smells so good. It smells like apples, which is interesting because he usually doesn't like baked good smells, like kitchen smells. Which is why I always say spa smells upstairs, because he loves those. And like baking good smells downstairs because he doesn't typically like this. But it smelled so good. So I'm like, I'm kind of ready to get like the fall, Halloween, baking candles, getting into Christmas candles. I'm kind of ready for that. I think I only have like 2 like kind of summer light scented candles left to go through. So yeah, I'm ready for that. But like the thing is that I'm also not ready for fall to be so hurried yet. I'm just not, you know. So let's read your comments. I mean, I've already read them. There wasn't really that many comments that people were like, there wasn't really anything that I had to address, but I thought it'd be kind of fun too. Sally said, the pickleball drama has been carrying my summer. I never did find out yesterday what the pickleball drama was. They're getting work done on their house again, my neighbor across the street. She didn't tell me if they were. She usually does. Because the pickup truck guy is there that does like all the remodels in their house. And they were gone, and he came home, and then he had to like pull out the pickup truck and put it back in so that the guy could get in the garage. I thought that was funny. Savannah said, you have to watch Prison Break. I am rewatching with my husband and forgot how good it was. Okay, how many seasons is it? I have it on my list, actually. It's interesting because I have it on my list and I've always wanted to watch it. I remember years ago Trisha Paytas talking something about it. And then also, didn't the main character, the guy who plays the main character, didn't he have like some huge coming out? Didn't he come out like years ago, like 10, 15 years ago or something like that? Why do I think that? Prison Break cast. I feel like there was some huge story with him coming out. Wentworth Miller. Okay. What else has he been in? I feel like he's been in something else. Prison Break. Some movie called, I don't know what that movie is. Stoker. Oh, he's in The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow. I don't watch any of that kind of stuff. Personal Life. In 2007, Miller denied in Style magazine that he was gay. However, he came out as gay in August 2013 when he posted a letter on GLAAD's website declining an invitation to attend the film festival because he felt deeply troubled by the Russian government's treatment of its gay citizens, referring to the... Miller wrote that he cannot in good conscience participate in a celebratory occasion hosted by a country where people like myself are being systematically denied their right to believe and to live and love openly. Oh, wow. Goes on here to talk about his story about when he was... how he tried to, like, take his life when he was growing up as a teenager before he came out. When someone asked me if that was a cry for help, I said no because I told no one. That's powerful. I relate to that. You only cry for help if you believe there's help to cry for. Oh, I didn't in high school ever feel like, I didn't think about taking my life, but feeling all alone, like I had nobody to talk to. I think that statement is so powerful. You only cry for help if you believe that there's someone to cry for. I think that's really powerful. He's now an ambassador for this mental health organization called Active Minds. Talks about depression. Talks about being diagnosed as autistic in 2021. This isn't something I'd change. Immediately being autistic is central to who I am, to everything I've achieved about and articulated. Wow. You know, that's what I talk about when I talk about, like, being sober, being gay, and I'm not putting these all in the categories together. I'm talking about these things that make me who I am, but like specifically like with mental health issues, which I feel like has such a negative connotation, like my OCD or, you know, ADHD and things like that. It's, for me, it's a different lens that I look at the world. It's a different language. And I think instead of stigmatizing and putting people down with mental health issues, it's really, and it's not even necessarily their job to explain it to us. It's maybe more our job to understand it, you know? I feel like, I feel like for some reason we don't use the word. I said this in a video recently and I was not aware of it, and then I just read this in this article, so I'm asking, do we not use the word, I feel like I just Google searched this the other day, that we do not use the word autistic anymore. I'm gonna look this up. It was on his Wikipedia page. Oh, no. I know what it was. It was the other one. That starts with an AS, because apparently it was named after, which this is really interesting when I read this article, because it was named after, is this my husband coming home already? It was named after somebody that was, you know, in that horrible German army. And what's interesting about that is that the disease that my mom passed away from people told me, I didn't know this, people told me that they don't refer to it anymore as that, because a couple years ago people said that in a vlog. They said we don't refer to it as that anymore because the person that they named it after, he was part of that horrible army as well, and so you don't say that word anymore. It's been like renamed as vasculitis, I think is what they call it. They just call it that now. And I was completely unaware of that. So the other one is what they're saying. Actually, I just read an article about this the other day because somebody said you don't say. I'm gonna look this up, make sure I'm correct about this, which is interesting because I feel like I hear people say it all the time. Yeah, it says the syndrome one is an outdated diagnostic term used to describe what's known today as autism spectrum disorder. But I feel like it had something to do... Oh, the disturbing history of Dr. So-and-so that was named after, and the movement to reframe. I feel like that's why it's no longer an official diagnosis. It was retired in 2013. That's interesting. I didn't know that at all. That was retired in 2013. Anyway, look a little bit more into that. Educate myself a little bit more into that. Oh my god, the battery is flashing at me. I'm gonna go get this woman. Oh my god, she cracks me up. She's been living here like longer than my mom, I think. And her neighbor is her grandma. And she's... Okay, I'm back. I had to go change my battery. My battery died on me. Anyway, I was talking about this lady that she lives like on the corner over there. And she has lived... Maybe she moved in here after my mom passed away, but I feel like she lived in here. I feel like I remember my mom talking about her. I don't know, I met her a couple years ago, and the way that I actually met her was, I mean, I kind of knew her to say hi to her, but the way that I started really talking to her was that a couple years ago, I was sitting outside at night, and something happened. I don't remember what happened, but something happened, and people were like screaming and yelling and down the street, and so, but it was late, I feel like. I don't feel like it was 3 o'clock in the morning, but I feel like it was late for like most people in this neighborhood, like 11 or 12. And so she and I and my neighbor in the corner, we like, her husband didn't come out, but she did. It was like the three of us standing in the corner. And then we started talking, and she was telling us a story about, there was this guy that lived in the neighborhood. It was really kind of sad. He had dementia. And he passed away years ago. God, how long ago would that have been? Because that was right around the time that she said that, because she's like, until tonight, I've never been scared in this neighborhood. And she's like, this is so bizarre. Like, I don't know, like, who's screaming and yelling down the street. It ended up being like a medical situation. Like, somebody had a heart attack, and like somebody came running outside, like waiting for the ambulance, and they were screaming and yelling or something. But she said at the time, I feel like maybe I was even vlogging when I talked to her about this at the time. I don't remember, but anyway. No, because I feel like I've known her longer than that. Like, she was talking about... Yeah, because she told me again later, and I was like, yeah, I already knew that, about this guy with dementia had, like, walked into her, like, kitchen door, and, like, she was, like, sitting there, and he was like, hi, or something like that, and she was like, can I help you? And she, like, called her grandma next door, which, I mean, they're both, like, well, her grandma's, like, I think she said, like, 92 or something, so this one's probably, like, 85, and... she, like, called her next door, and then, like, because they knew who he was. He lived in this neighborhood, and he always, like, gets out of his house or something, they, like, walked him down the street. Why do I feel like those were two separate occasions, though, that when I talked to her about that and when I first met her? But she's really, really nice. She's hilarious, and, she's, like, always complaining because she, like, stands out, like, right by her, like, she walks out, like, constantly out of her kitchen door, and she, like, smokes a cigarette when she's standing there. She kind of reminds me of my grandma a little bit, and... one day I said to her, I said something, this was like probably 2 years ago when I noticed that she started standing outside smoking, and then I was like outside with Boo Radley, and I was like talking to her, and I was like, you're outside smoking? She's like, yeah, my son said I can't smoke inside the house anymore because when I die he has to take over the condo, he doesn't want to smell like smoke. So now she, like, literally, and she, like, if you ever walk by her house, you can see it. Her kitchen's, like, this big kitchen, and she's always, like, sitting in the kitchen. Like, she's got, like, you can see it, like, right in the kitchen. Like, for years, you'd see it. She's, like, reading the paper, reading a book with an ashtray next to her and a cup of coffee. So hilarious. But now she just always steps outside because her son told her to. Although I didn't see her a lot out this winter, so she must have been smoking. But anyway, she wheels down the street in this little car that she has. I mean, you just heard it. She goes down the street, like, 80 miles an hour, right? Which cracks me up. There's the other woman that's kind of like hard of hearing that has the Lassie dog. She like drives real fast through the neighborhood too. It's funny. So, what was I gonna say? Prison Break. Oh, Prison Break. See, I knew I'd come back to it. I do want to watch Prison Break. I feel like it's like 10 seasons or something, though. You know what's interesting is, why is it trending on Netflix right now? Is it because they just added it? I feel like they just added it to Netflix. Because that's how I was like, oh, like I forgot about Prison Break because I saw that they added it. And then I saw that it was like on their top 10. And I was like, this is so weird that this is on their top 10. Here it is, Prison Break. How many seasons is it? Oh, it's only 5 seasons? How many episodes a season? Oh, girl. No, ma'am. 22 episodes a season. No, ma'am. I did that with Vanderpump Rules. Does it change? Does it get less episodes? Oh, no. The last season was only 9 episodes. I love those prison shows like Orange is the New Black and Wentworth. Oh, God, I love Wentworth so much. I'm so sad that they ended those shows. Okay, let's read some more comments. I'll watch Prison Break, but I don't know when. It's going to be fall, winter, because I got some shows to watch in between then. I'm like, the other day, I was like, we're at the beginning of August. Sister Wives is supposed to come back in September, and I'm on season 8. Like, I've got to, like, get through these seasons. I'm kind of like, I've taken kind of like a hiatus the last week, because I've just been like, it was just too much of it. It's just the same thing over and over and over again. If you watch it, you know, but it's like, you can't stop watching it, because it's kind of like watching, you know, like, I don't know, it's you can't stop watching it, but at the same time, like, nothing really ever happens. It's just kind of boring. I don't know. Miranda said, as a social worker myself, I love hearing about your social work experience. Aw, love that. Teresa said, oh, this was on a video that I did a couple days ago. She said, I love my friends that I can pick right back up with after a period of time apart. I'll tell you what I love is, I have friends in my life that I talk to every single day, right? Like Tanya Jean and Nikki Mel and things like that. Valor and I text several times a week. I've got a couple recovery friends I talk to literally every day, stuff like that. But then I have friends of mine that, like, I might not talk to. Like, we might have a week where we talk, like, 3 or 4 times a day, or 3 or 4 times a week, and then we might not talk for 2 weeks. Through the years, I have had people that, like, I mean, my phone's not ringing. They haven't reached out to me. But then it's like every time I call them to check in with them, they're like, well, I haven't heard from you in like a week or 2. And I'm like, you know what? This feels very similar to guilt tripping that my mother gave me, and I don't need it in my life. And phone works both ways. So you can pick up the phone and call me too. Well, I didn't want to bother you. No, that's some manipulative guilt tripping bullshit, and I'm not going to deal with it, okay? So if you want to talk to me, call me and let me know that. But don't just sit there and then play the victim like you don't ever call and check on me, you know? I mean, that's not a friendship, first of all. I think that's weirdness is what it is. And I don't have people in my life that guilt trip me today. I just don't. I'm not responsible for other people's happiness. But what I love is friends of mine that, let's say, I haven't talked to in 2 or 3 weeks. They haven't called me and I haven't called them, right? But when I call them, they're like, oh my God, it's so good to hear from you. Like, I miss you so much. And then we'll talk for like a half an hour, 20 minutes, an hour, hour and a half sometimes. And it's like reconnecting with an old friend. And there's no bitterness there because they know they're busy. I know they're busy. They know I've got stuff going on. And even if I don't have stuff going on, even if they don't have stuff going on, we just have, life goes on, right? But it's like, you know, when I show up to meetings, and like if I haven't been to a specific meeting for a while, and I walk through the door, it's those people that come up to me, they're like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. You know, not the people that are like, haven't seen you in a while. You know, it's like the people that come up to me, it's like, it's so good to see you. You know, it's like when Toni Morrison talks about when a child walks in a room, do their eyes light up? You know, that's what they're looking for. Not do the child's eyes light up, but when a child walks in a room, they're looking at their parents, they're looking at their authoritative figure, their parents, their grandparents, their teachers, their siblings, and like when a child walks in a room, do their eyes light up? Well, I'm 52 years old, and when I walk in a room, I still want somebody's eyes to light up. I still want somebody to be excited to see me, whether that's my husband, my best friend, my cousin, whoever, you know? That's why when people walk into rooms with me, you know, on a typical basis, like, I'm like, oh, it's so good to see you, whatever. I mean, maybe not my husband at the end of the day, but, I mean, we get a little excited about each other every single day a little bit, you know what I mean? But anyway, but yeah. Okay, Julie said, I was waiting for the Real Housewives of Orange County comments. I like that Emily and Gina stuck up for Shannon. I remember Emily, it was weird because Emily was talking shit about all of them, and then Emily stuck up for Shannon. I don't remember Gina sticking up for Shannon. What's weird about it, I'll tell you, and I'm going to do a whole video about this tomorrow or the next day. I've got to do my shark movie one, and I don't want to do it today. I'm already picked the next shark movie. Somebody actually recommended it, so I'm going to do that one, but what is going on? That's my neighbor's, my pool crew's husband. And it's like he's got his like grandkids with him and they're all fishing or something. They got fishing poles. Somebody should fish in this neighborhood as much money as we pay to stock these lakes. Anyway, what was interesting to me is this whole perception that like Gina is getting over this whole Katie situation. Gina told Katie, if you don't tell Heather, okay, so this Katie girl has these receipts that Heather Dubrow called paparazzi for this picture at Disney World. The whole thing is so ludicrous. It's so staged. Okay, Terry Dubrow is holding her from the back, and they're both like this. It's so obviously staged. It's so obvious that they called the paparazzi, and if they didn't, who cares, okay? If they did, who cares? A lot of celebrities do. In fact, Terry Dubrow on the show this week was like, oh, if she has the number for the paparazzi, I love to have my picture taken by the... It was funny how he reacted to it. It's interesting that Heather gets so upset about it, because she kind of just lets other stuff go, right? But Gina is taking everything so seriously this season because she's going through terrible times with her partner, this Travis guy. But she won't come out and say, I'm like being rude to everybody because I'm going through hard times with Travis. She won't come out and say that. So instead she just comes out and she's rude to everybody. So she tells this Katie girl that's new this season, who is friends with Sutton from Beverly Hills. And I actually really like this Katie girl. And I think she's somebody that, I think she's another one, don't mess with her. And so she like, Gina's like, you need to tell Heather Dubrow. And if you don't tell Heather Dubrow, then I'm going to tell Heather Dubrow that you're talking about that this paparazzi stuff, whatever, right? So they get all invited to this golf thing that this Katie girl has. So Katie pulls Heather Dubrow aside. Well, they're all kind of like watching, and then they all kind of move in, right? And Katie's like, I just wanted to bring up this situation with the paparazzi to you. Okay, well, it blows up, and Heather Dubrow goes crazy. And then later, Gina's like, I don't know why you even said anything to her. And Katie's like, because you told me that I had to. I never said that I had to do that. Gina is so messy this season. I feel like Gina and Emily, first of all, I will say this. Emily looks gorgeous this season. Emily did the shots, and then she started working out, and she lost weight, and she's now like in the gym all the time. She's always been gorgeous. I mean, she is such a curvaceous woman, and I mean, I love men and women that have a little meat on their bones, if you want to know the truth. And her hair is gorgeous. Emily is a gorgeous woman. She is messy as shit this season. They're not going to get rid of Emily, because Emily's storyline, she carries her own storyline. Gina, I don't think people really care that much about Gina, in all honesty. I really liked her last season, but she is so messy and so nasty. She was so rude to Jen. I thought she was rude to Jen about, like, that whole situation. I won't even get into all that. I'll do a whole video about it. So anyway, that's what I think. I think the whole thing is so weird. But I don't really remember Gina standing up for Shannon so much. I do remember Emily standing up for her, but then Emily was also the one that called out Vicky Gundelson about, you know, she said something at the end. It was so funny because she was like, okay, well, buy your insurance, Vicky. It was so funny what she said. Alejandro said, dark is so good, it's confusing, but then it blows your mind when you start understanding everything. Okay, I'm not there yet. I'm not at the understanding everything part. Curly Princess said, Peter, I am in the same boat. I have added magnesium and it helps. Okay, I have tried every different kinds of magnesium. It does not help. And the one type of magnesium that I took, I was on the toilet. And I shared that with you guys. That it was like the first time my stomach was like, and I couldn't figure it out, right? It did relax me a little bit, but it's not worth it. It's not worth what I went through. And that's about TMI as I'm going to get, okay? I'm not doing the magnesium. I don't know. I think I'm kind of like, I think that I'm unfixable at this point. Oh, the Amazon truck just drove by. I was like, I got so excited. I was like, oh, is that for me? Okay. Rachel said, both of my sons wear nothing but Birkenstocks. They are 19 and 13. I think somewhere, although I went through all my shoes that I have like boxed up in the basement, I couldn't find them. I have this pair of green suede Birkenstocks that were my very first Birkenstocks. I just can't believe that I would have ever thrown them out. I'm like, where did I put them? I mean, my closet is so organized now that they're not in my upstairs closet. I've gone through almost everything in the basement. The only thing I have is in the corner where it's like all notes and stuff like that and pictures. I know they're not over there. I've gone through all the clothes and all the coats. I did find some really cute stuff that I didn't realize I have. Vintage stuff. I have a vintage cat coat. You know, like cat, like the construction thing. I have a zip-up Lacoste, like from the 70s winter coat. It is so cute that I got it at a vintage store. I totally forgot that I had it. It's a little tight on me. It'd be a little snug on me, but... what just happened? I just hit something. Okay, where did I go? Somebody said, guys, dueling block parties. One party to rule them all, compete for the best block party. And that's not a bad idea. But see, then these people get too serious about it. They couldn't have fun with it. Cleo's the one that said, still missing Morgan is the documentary you're talking about. Be sure to watch that. Somebody else said something about it, too. Okay, Rhiannon, this is so funny. I feel like I've heard this before, but not about couscous. So, when my neighbor yesterday said that he was having salmon, and I go, what are you guys having with it? And he said, couscous. And Rhiannon said, hoping you'd say back, couscous, the food's so nice, they named it twice. Is that like an ad for couscous or something? I didn't know that. I do love couscous, though, and orzo salad. Oh, my God. Morgan, I read your whole comment about you living in the same place as... Your whole comment was very interesting to me. Anybody that wants to read about it, Morgan talked about how she grew up in Fort Smith, Arkansas, which is where she lives. And she said it drove me crazy for years. And she talks about how she knows about the Morgan brick case and stuff like that. So thank you for leaving that comment. That was interesting to read. I love when people have, like, they live in the same town that stuff happened. Ellen said, I live in southern Arizona and I haven't gone swimming at all this summer. I'm not a big swimmer as it is, but it's so hot here, like it's well over 105, so the water feels warm usually. So not really refreshing, and I'm really pale, so I burn so easily with a pale part. Yeah, like that sucks, because, well, I mean, I think it's healthy to take care of your skin like that, but to go out in the sun like this, I mean, yeah, you get burned up right away. I love this one so much. But I do know what you're talking about. Like, when we were in Arizona last year, I can remember getting in the pool at night, and it was, like, warm at night. You know, and the pool was not heated, obviously, or anything like that. Katie said the documentary on Hulu is still missing Morgan. I thought it was great. Can't wait to see what you think about it. I'll have to watch it with them. Maybe I'll watch it then. Somebody said, ugh, I can't believe it actually happened to me, but YouTube unsubscribing to your channel. That's been happening a lot lately. I've seen a couple comments about that. It comes, it goes, it happens, it doesn't happen. Do you guys remember when I used to say stuff about that on my videos? I don't ever say anything about it in my videos anymore. I figure people will find it if they want to. You guys, okay, somebody said thank you, Elizabeth said thank you for the love and light you put into the world through your videos. Been watching your videos for a while now. It's really helped me get through some of the darkest days. You're so sweet. Thank you so much. Sending positivity and love to you. Hope things get better soon for whatever you're going through. Or maybe you're not anymore. Maybe better times are ahead. Kylie said, it's been 2 weeks straight I've listened to you while I go to sleep. Aww. Sassy said, we had a cold front today. It was in the 80s. Tomorrow back to triple digits. Oh my God. I wish we were having triple. I know people will say, no, you don't. No, I do for the next 2 weeks, triple digits, so that I could go to the pool every single day. Somebody said, my mom is turning 50 tomorrow. We're going to celebrate with some sausages on the grill. Happy birthday, Mom. Enjoy your sausages on the grill. Okay, somebody said, Friendly Girl said, my day just got better since I have now watched 3 Peter Monn videos. Well, am I finally first to comment? You weren't, you were second. Jessica was, but you were almost first. It was like a second apart. Love you, Peter. Tell Alex, hey, much love and support from Alaska. So I don't know, like, you must have recently found me because you started commenting on me just like a month ago. But you comment a lot, and I love your comments. So thank you so much. Okay. HD said, just had a, oh, you used to comment on my videos forever ago. Just had a wed child last night for part of our anniversary dinner out with my parents. Happy anniversary! It hit the spot. My mom and I shared it. Yummy. Oh, Curly Princess said again, Peter, at Fresh Time, get the lemon or strawberry sorbet. We did not go to Fresh Time today, or I was going to do that because I put that down there. Oh, HD said, I adore you. Had a dream about you with the Sister Wives. Oh my God, I did. Mindy said she's been sick lately. Checking in to see you. Look happy. Oh, Mindy, I hope that you start feeling better soon. Okay, somebody said, Kat said, I love this open house idea. Can you explain what this is? I'm from Alabama, and open house for us is when someone moves into a new house and you throw a party. Kind of like a housewarming thing, but it sounds like in Indiana, it's more of a dinner party for any occasion. Sounds fun. Okay, so typically if I said, like, we're having an open house in Indiana, if I said that to just, like, these women that were walking down the street, they would be like, I'm not interested in buying your house. Typically in Indiana, what an open house is they are on Sundays, typically, and it's when a realtor has an open house, let's say from like 12 to 4, okay? And that means you can come anytime during 12 to 4 and you can tour the house that's for sale. That's typically what an Indiana open house is. I feel like across the country, that's probably what an open house is. I don't know when this started, but my aunt was really the first person I ever heard talk about it. And she would have like an open house Christmas party. And it would be like the 16th of, I want to say the 17th of December, that's my sobriety date. But it'd be like the middle of December. And she would have it from like 12 to 4 on a Saturday. And it meant, like if you, okay, like if you're having a party, and let's say your party is from 8 to 10, people assume that you're going to get there between like 8 and 8:15 and stay till 10. Like that, the party's starts at 8 and leaves at 10. An open house, let's say, is from like 12 to 4, and you can come anytime. Like, it wouldn't be rude for you to come at 3:30 and leave at 3:45 and just stop in and say hi, have a Christmas cookie, bring a gift, whatever. It's just an open house. It's just like you stop by whenever you want. There's no set hour. Well, there's set hours of the open house, but it's more casual. It's like people do these open houses for graduation parties now. So they'll have it on Sunday, and it'll be like open house from, hey, how are you? It's good to see you. Oh, Boo's doing good. Thank you for remembering him. I haven't seen you since the eclipse. Oh, you were telling me all those funny stories from back in the day.
Well, we've been having this great weather.
I know, it's really good walking weather. It's really nice. I love your straw hat.
You doing okay?
I'm doing good. You are?
Yeah.
What do you got in your purse over there that you're carrying?
Phone.
Oh, your phone.
Don't go out without the phone.
Gotcha, I get it. Everybody does that in the neighborhood.
Yeah, well, sometimes I forget it, but it makes me nervous.
Aw. Well, it's good to see you.
Yeah,
We'll have to sit next to each other for the next eclipse.
we're not going to wait that long.
We're not going to wait that long. That's right. It was good seeing you, sweetie. She is so sweet. That's my neighbor that I sat next to at Eclipse. What kills me about this, right, is people that are 25 cannot remember my husband's name, but she's like 96 or something, and I have not seen her since the eclipse, and she goes, how's Mr. Boo Radley? How does she remember that? Like, that cracks me up. I love her so much. What was I saying? I was reading somebody's comment about something. That just totally made my day. I love this woman. She's a big straw hat on. She's walking out with this jean shirt on, these jeans, and her purse across her. She's so, I love her so much. She's an example of why you shouldn't be afraid to get older, right there. Oh, so the open house thing. So, I don't remember when this started. I feel like it's been like 15 years ago, 20 years ago maybe, but people started having graduation open houses. Maybe it was longer ago than that in Indiana. And a graduation open house was just like on a Saturday or a Sunday. It'd be like from 12 to 4. And it just meant like, because like my cousin Caroline, she's got so many friends with kids that are graduating that she'll be like, I have like 3 open houses on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. And I'm like, girl, that's a lot. And she's like, I know, because I have to buy a gift for each one. Or write a check or give cash or whatever. It's expensive, right? And so what it is it's just where you stop in and they've got like drinks and desserts and maybe some appetizers, and it's usually in the backyard, and kids have open houses together. It's like best friends will have open houses together and stuff like that, graduation open houses. So basically an open house is just where there's not like a set time, like of a party. It's just like you can come and go whenever you want. That's my understanding of an open house. I don't know. But that's my understanding of it. Well, listen, you guys, I'm going to get off here now. My neighbor didn't, I think I heard her come home, and she didn't text me. She must be on some project. Oh my God, I do have to tell you guys this. So, you know, they were pruning her trees, and I could tell she was like upset with them, and they were moving something, and I couldn't tell what they were moving. Well, she has this like wooden, so you know she's rolling to the plants. So she has this wooden thing on her back patio that she had moved to the side, and it has all these plants that she usually keeps inside, but for the summer she keeps them outside. Well, they were messing with, that's because I took Boo Radley over there and I saw that she had it leaned up and none of the plants are up there. They were messing with her, like it broke apart or something. Like this, it's like a slanted bookshelf, but you put plants on it. And she has it like in her house. It's beautiful. But that was right where she was like going off on the guys about the pruning of the trees. I thought she was saying something to them about she didn't want a tree pruned or something like that, but I have a feeling it was about the bookshelf because it's like broken now. So they must have like messed with like a tree next to her bookshelf and then the bookshelf broke. So I don't know. I'm actually, when I get done with this, I'm going to start rendering this and uploading the memory card and then rendering it, and then I'm going to actually run over to her house and just see how she's doing and stuff like that for the day. So yeah, and then Alex should be home in just a little bit. I actually was just going to vlog for 20 or 30 minutes today. I think I vlogged for close to maybe an hour and a half. That's kind of a long vlog, but it's Sunday. Oh, this is what I was going to say about it feeling like Sunday. So when I was at the grocery store today, we just went to the Kroger grocery store. I was on the way home. Alex was like, do you want to go to Fresh Time? I was like, this is just the quickest. Let's just stop in here. I just need to get a few things. So when I was in there, it was like all these families shopping for like the week ahead, and it reminded me of going to the grocery store really like when Alex and I first got together. I feel like we used to go to the grocery store like on Sundays for like the week ahead so that he would have stuff to like pack lunches, and we would get stuff for the dogs, and you know, we would like open the windows on a cool evening like tonight and light candles, and we would watch a movie. And hard to believe, but you know, like we would both go to bed early, not early, but like 1 in the morning, you know, or whatever. And it just very much like that today feels like that. It reminds me of like when I used to go to like church with my mom growing up, and then, you know, come back and have a lunch with some donuts and chicken noodle soup and tuna fish salad sandwiches, and she would make, and I would read the cartoons and, you know, take a nap or whatever. My mom would always have me do my homework on like Friday, and so then for the whole weekend we could just do whatever we wanted to do, which I don't ever remember really having homework ever, so I don't know why. But she'd be like, that's when we were going to do it if we were going to do it. We weren't going to wait till Sunday at like 8 o'clock. And she hated when I would come home from my dad's house, and then she'd be like, I had some poster board project, and she'd be like, you and your dad have the whole weekend to do this, and now you're waiting until the very last minute. We have got to go up to the drugstore at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night to get this poster board. She's like, you could have done this whole weekend. She gets so irritated with that. So I learned that lesson real quick, because my mom would say, you don't tell your dad you have these things to do, then dad gets to be the fun dad and I get to be the disciplinarian mom. She hated that. She's like, it's totally unfair. And so that was like something like, I can't remember the exchange usually of like me going to my dad's house or whatever. There was always like an exchange of like homework, whatever, like if I gotten in trouble or something like that was always like exchange. Because if I like got in trouble at one house, I was like also in trouble at the other house, which I didn't really get in trouble that much as a kid. But you know, like if I mouthed off to my mom or something like that, like, but she would also call my dad, so he usually knew about that stuff. But like homework, because I can remember when I was younger, that was like a huge deal. Like there was like a couple incidences where I didn't tell my dad something, and then I came home and it was like panic mode. Like, I have to have this for class tomorrow. My mom's like, we're relaxing. Like, why are you waiting until the very last moment to tell me this? Like, you had the whole weekend with your dad and he would have done it. My dad would have done anything, you know, so he would have done it. And so she's like, I'm done. I'm done with being a disciplinarian mom, and your dad gets to be the fun dad on the weekends. She's like, I'm done with it. I'm sure there's a couple single moms out there that relate to that. And she's like, you know, if you got homework and stuff to do, you and your dad can do your projects. Don't bring your projects home on Sunday night for mom to have to fix them at the last minute. We're not doing that. You got Friday and Saturday to do that with your dad, and your dad's good at projects too, and he loves projects, so dad can do the projects. And he did help me with that. But like, I can remember there was like an exchange of information. I can't remember how they did that, but that was like a huge issue. I can remember. So anyway, but like Sundays when I was with my mom, we go to church and come home, then she'd make lunch, which was that Mrs. Grass's chicken noodle soup and like tuna fish salad sandwiches or like turkey sandwiches or something. And then I would take a nap, or we would relax, and then we would have dinner. I don't remember like playing outside on Sundays a lot. I'm sure I did, but I don't really remember that. I feel like it was kind of like, it was always kind of known like it was family day on our street, like for every family. And then we would have dinner on Sunday nights. I can remember dinner always being like meatloaf, or it was like some kind of like, my mom very much believed in like Sundays being like a meat and potatoes kind of like thing, right? And then we would watch like a TV show at night and get into bed and read and start, you know, I can remember reading a lot on Sunday nights before I went to bed. And she'd like get me in bed early, you know, bath, get into bed early, and then Like when I'm young, like, you know, elementary, early junior high. And then we would go to bed. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, like this sleep thing is something I've dealt with my whole life. Even when I was a kid, I tossed and turned. Tossed and turned and tossed and turned and tossed and turned, you know? So, oh, I did not take a nap last night. That was the other thing. I did not take a nap last night. And I drank like the cup of coffee while I was talking on the phone, and I like made another cup of coffee, and I had like 2 sips out of it, and I was like, I'm not really feeling this, and so I drank a cup of water, and then I started drinking sleepy time tea. So there's no reason why I should have struggled falling asleep again as much as I did. But anyway, so yeah, so it feels like a Sunday. I love Sundays. Sundays are such good days to what? Get relaxed, rejuvenated, refreshed, and renewed for the week ahead, and I hope that you are. And I hope that you guys have had I hope you're having a magically amazing Sunday. I hope you've had a magically amazing weekend. I hope that you're getting refreshed, renewed, rejuvenated, and relaxed for the week ahead. And I hope that you guys have a great start to your week tomorrow. Or if this is your weekend starting tomorrow, then I hope that you have a great weekend. And thanks for hanging out with me again tonight, and this was fun, and this was a good way to end the week and start another week. And I'm just gonna go and check in with my neighbor, and it's starting to get a little cool, so it's not really pool weather now, and then get this video uploaded and read a little bit. And I'm reading now that graphic novel, Check Please, the second one. I don't love it. Listen to my audiobook, take a walk, maybe take a nap when Alex gets home, and just have a relaxing Sunday. So anyway, I love you guys so much, and have a great start to your week. I love you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.